Hello everyone, this is John from RPGs and More, and in today's episode we're going to do the second episode of creating a sandbox. Oh, then this is in anticipation of a Prince Valiant storytelling game style West Marches campaign / solo campaign that I want to run on this channel in the future. But you know what? It's a process, and instead of doing all the process alone, staring at the wall, I figured we'd do a little bit of it together, just for funsies. So today we're going to start with the very important NPC, or the notable NPC that we left off with last time, which was an annoying minstrel that existed in the town, or the village, connected to Castle Hawkhearth. Now, because this is a notable NPC, I determined that we are going to create this NPC the same way that we would create a player character in the Prince Valiant storytelling game. But first, I wanted to get an idea of what this character looked like, because I figured that information would inform what stats and traits I give the character. So I got out one of my secret weapons, and that is my old copy of The Knave RPG by Ben Milton. Now, this is the first edition of Knave. It's a little tiny booklet, itty bitty. But what's important about it is it has something in there that the second edition of Knave does not have. I'm not sure why it was left out. That's a design decision on Mr. Milton's part, and I'm sure that he had a very good reason. But what I noted is in the version I have, when you roll up your character, there's a whole lot of tables that cover traits for that character. Excuse me, I apologize for that little burp there. Excuse me again. All right, so you roll a bunch of d20s, and you can use those d20s to determine what your character is like. They cover things like their physique, their face, their skin, their hair, their clothing, their virtue, their vice, their speech pattern or speech, their background, their misfortune, and their alignment. Now, there's other things, too, that you can roll when you're making a character. For example, what armor they start out with, and other things like that. But I want to stick a little closer to the Prince Valiant system. I could technically use a lot of this to create a character and then translate it over to Prince Valiant, and it would still work well enough. But let's use the system as it exists for now. I just want these traits to help me get an idea of what my character looks like. So during my break at work, after eating my delicious dinner of granola, it was amazing. I'm being so sarcastic. I determined that our minstrel is physically ripped, has a wolfish face. I can't read my own handwriting. Has a wolfish face, wears war paint, his hair is in a ponytail, he wears eccentric clothing, is somewhat stoic, but also I can't remember what word I was trying to write there, but essentially he's also a bit of a spendthrift. So he's stoic, but not really, I don't know. Anyway, he tends to mumble his words and is the son of an alchemist, was abandoned, and is neutral towards adventurers. Now, I determined, because of this, I decided to test out the rolling for brawn and presence system that I had talked about in a previous video and use it with this character. So I rolled my d6 and I rolled it twice because I wanted to kind of hedge my bets to make the whole his physique is ripped thing make a little bit more sense. And I took the highest of the two rolls, which meant that his brawn is 4 and his presence is 3. But we know that he's a minstrel. So here's what I'm thinking. Because of all that that we rolled, I think that as far as stats and skills go, we're going to be creating a Viking warrior using the advanced character creation options from the Prince Valiant storytelling game. So let's go to that page. I actually did not bookmark the page ahead of time. Shame on me. So we're going to shuffle to it. List of traits and fame. Okay. Back. Oh, that's no, too far. Those are skills. Notes on female adventurers, peasants, hunters, slaves, thieves, and Vikings. Okay, there we go. So this is going to be a Viking, and let's give him a very Viking name. I haven't decided on one yet, but let's decide right now. In fact, right now I'm going to I love the name Hrothgar for a Viking. It's very classic. It's very evocative. All right, and I don't think there's an important NPC in the Prince Valiant setting that's already named Hrothgar. So, Hrothgar. And then his last name, well, let's call him Coulson. Kollson. Coulson. Hrothgar, son of Cole. So here's my thought. Now, Hrothgar Coulson was the son of an alchemist. Well, I mean, Nordic people at that time probably didn't have alchemists as we might think of them. But what they did have were kind of people who did work with herbs and worked with, things of nature in order to provide healing and help and support to the people, kind of similar to the cunning man of British nomenclature. So we'll say that his father was one of those people. And he was abandoned. So how is he abandoned? I think, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that Hrothgar Coulson was a raider. Maybe not a raider, but he was part of a group of Vikings that tried to settle in England after, taking over a particular part. Maybe he's part of the group that was up in Jorvik, later York. That's possible. And he's not there anymore, obviously, because he was abandoned. Was he abandoned, or did his father abandon him? Or maybe his father disowned him, kicked him out, basically. Or his father's no longer in the picture, and so, but the locals kicked him out for some reason. No, he was abandoned. So his father let's say his father kicked him out. No longer, allowed in Jorvik. Oh boy, I'm messing up the hair that I just combed. So Cole, who was kind of a bit of a skald, a bit of a a wise person amongst there's an actual name for it, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. I don't want to sit there and guess. Anyway, so he's the cunning man of his local Nordic group, and Hrothgar did something dumb. Maybe Hrothgar got involved with the wrong person's wife and was kicked out because of it, because he did not handle the situation the way that a proper Viking would. So instead, but he did survive, but his father had basically had to abandon him, had to kick him out perhaps he had to do that in order to save his life. That I can see that happening. So this Viking is now out of the Viking colony, if you will, and is now alone somewhere in Britain, in Arthur's Britain, alone, bedraggled, wandering. What is he going to do? Well, something happened. Something brought him to this place. And remember, this place is on the western border of kind of basically where Wales is. because if you're going to do a King Arthur story, you've got to include Wales. All right. It's not, I don't make the rules, but I try to follow them because of my Celtic heritage a little bit, just a little. So it's on the Western coast. And I want to say that he made his way over there across all the land because he's trying to get away from the raiders, but at the same time, maybe he's got the secret hope of connecting up with another group of Vikings that have been in Ireland, in Dublin, or what became Dublin. So that's a possibility. But along the way, his life was saved by a nobleman of King Arthur's court. Something happened and his life was saved. And now he owes a debt to that lord. And that lord could be, I'm thinking the lord is the baron, the master of Hawkhearth Castle. So Lord Hawkhearth did something to rescue this Viking, Hrothgar, from some danger. We'll figure that part out later. I kind of want to leave some mystery here. I don't want to have everything decided before the sandbox begins. But that works for me. That gives us enough of a background to then go to his skills and decide, what he starts with. So, but let's go right now. So he must have the skills of arms and ship handling. All right. So arms and ship handling. Ship handle. And I've got 9 other points that I can spend on his skills because we're making him up the same way we would a player character. So I'm going to say, let's look at the advanced skills because I want to cover those first since we've talked about that. That's a list of traits. Oh, that's a sick kitty. We're going to have to clean that up after the video. All right. Alchemy. He's going to have at least 1 point in that because that's what his father did. So he probably learned a few things about it. Alchemy. All right. Bargaining, maybe not. Crafting, disguise, farming, gaming, lore, mathematics. Well, he is a minstrel. I think he might know something of lore. So let's put a point into lore, at least. Mathematics, money handling, naturalize, poetry, and song. There we go. There's his bread and butter. Because he's an annoying minstrel, and probably one of the reasons why he's annoying is because he hasn't, maybe he's still learning the local songs, and he keeps doing them wrong. And then he tries to introduce them to Nordic songs, and no one understands them. And of course, there's the usual animosity between Vikings and Saxons or Bretons in this time period. King Arthur's people don't really get along with the Vikings too well for the most part, with certain exceptions. And so probably, he's getting a little bit of prejudice from the local population. In fact, maybe that's the reason why the local population is a little negative towards adventurers right now, because they see adventurers as people like this guy. He's an adventurer, and so he's probably the most the adventurer, quote unquote, type person that has been around them the longest. And so maybe they're a little hostile to the player characters when the player characters come by because they're afraid the player characters are going to be weird, going to be foreign like this guy. All right, so I think this is starting to now make sense. These random rolls that I made on the knave chart created a really cool NPC. And I'll be honest, I would not have thought on my own to put a Viking skald in a Breton village in the Prince Valiant setting. Not on my own, but with these roles, we've come up with this idea, and that's what we have. We have a Viking skald, son of an alchemist, or a son of a medicine man, not medicine man, that's not the right term, but son of a herb user, who is in really is a fish out of water, and probably going to be very glad to see the player characters because someone new to talk to. Assuming the player characters aren't rude. Anyway, so lore, poetry, and song. All right. And let's see what else we got. Read and write in a language. You know what? I don't think he knows his runes. I don't think he was that kind of Viking. Speak language. How a character speaks a language such as Latin or a major dialect such as Breton or Gothic. All characters are considered to have the speak language skill in their native tongue with a value of 3, and the skill is not recorded on the adventure card or under the major characters listing of the background. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually put, he is learning Breton, the local language. So we are going to write down language. He's going to have at least 1 point in that because he has to in order to converse with the player character. So it probably has one heck of an accent. Stealth. I don't see, this guy doesn't come across as very stealthy. Remember, he's ripped with a wolf-like face. He's probably pretty far from stealthy. So, all right, that's the advanced part. So let's go over to the basic character creation section right at the beginning of the book, and we'll go over those skills. So we are right now agility. Agility is used primarily for kind of like swimming and athletics. I think he's ripped, so obviously he's involved in some athletic stuff. So let's make sure he's got some agility, even if it's just 1 point. All right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 2 more points left. If I don't find anything else that I want to throw on this guy, then those 2 extra points will go into poetry and song. Okay. Archery, nah. Arms, he's already got it. Battle, no. Brawling, no. Courtesy, a character wrestles, uses his or her fists, wields crude knives and clubs. Actually, brawling makes sense. Let's see. Let's look at the others. Dexterity, fellowship, glamoury, healing, hunting, jousting, oratory, riding. Okay, so he's not, I don't see him as a rider. He's more interested in ships. He's not a jouster. He doesn't hunt. He's not, he's good at poetry and song, but not necessarily oratory. So glamour, no. Fellowship, yes. I do see him maybe having some fellowship, and maybe he's not really skilled at it. It's more of just a natural, maybe that's why he's annoying, because he doesn't actually know how to do the fellowship thing, because he's so used to his own culture and his own people. So yeah, we can have that be something that develops over time with this guy. So, but let's take the brawling. All right. Okay, so now that's going to put each one of these at 1. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then poetry and song at 2. Because that's what he does. Even though he only has the presence of a average man, he has some skill in poetry and song. And so that's what he's trying to make his living at right now. Okay, so that's that part. Now, the next part is his equipment. What does he start with? Well, to do that, we go back to the advanced character creation section. Oh, that's obsessions, too far. We go for monks. There we go. That's the right page. Vikings. Okay, he starts with light armor, a Viking weapon such as a sword or an axe. So light armor and an axe. I'm thinking we're gonna, because this is a heroic historical game, we don't have to stick purely to historical notions. So we're gonna give him leather armor. You know, like the show Vikings. Light armor, leather, and a shield. The shield is the real armor. He's gonna have a Viking weapon. I'm gonna give him an an axe because that's pretty. Hand axe. There's axe. That's a pretty standard, good tropey weapon to give a Viking. They're also incredibly useful. A fine fur cloak. Ooh, nice. And a few bits of plunder. A fine fur cloak and a few bits of plunder. Including one of the bits of plunder that he picked up along the way. He got a lute. So he's learning, he's teaching himself how to play the lute. And at the same time that he's trying to learn the language, he's trying to learn the local songs, but he's also, you know, trying to put some of his Nordic songs to the tune of a lute. And so just right now, I've already got this mental image in my head of this ponytail wearing, wolfish expression, ripped Viking warrior, kind of like young Ragnar Lothbrok from the Viking series is sort of like what I'm looking at, a cross between him and Floki, younger Floki, with a bit of like a touch of paint just because he knows it freaks people out and it makes him really recognizable. He probably still enjoys scaring the locals just a little bit because they spend so much time treating him like a pariah. So he's just like, you know, I might as well play it up. I might as well be the thing, make them scared, you know, that sort of thing. As long as they don't kick me out, right? You know, as long as I don't make them too scared. So okay, I'm liking this guy, but he's also got a lute, and so he's the annoying minstrel because he's not annoying because he's bad or because he's like, hey, you know, he's not the horny bard. He's just learning a new instrument and still learning the language, and so some things have not quite translated yet. Okay, cool. That is Hrothgar Coulson, our notable NPC for the village connected to Hawkhearth Castle. Okay, that is awesome. Now let's see, what time are we at? We are at 23 minutes. Okay, I think we've got a little bit more time. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do the second piece of creation that I wanted to handle tonight. And that is, I want to know what is the name of the tavern / inn of this place, because they're going to have a place in the village where they're going to meet Hrothgar Coulson. And it's probably going to be the tavern. Just, you know, wild guess there. But it's also going to be the social hub of everywhere. So what is the social hub of this little village? What is it called? To get there, I'm going to pull out one of my other treasured books. This is something that is not commonly, I don't see it around an awful lot, but I love it to death. I think it is a fantastic resource that I wish more people knew about, and I wish it was more widely distributed, because right now it's kind of hard to get your hands on. And that is Back Swords and Bucklers, specifically Book 2, Tavern Trawling. Now, this is by, let's see, by Christopher Cale and Benjamin Dale, with the assistance of Daniel Officer. Fiction by Benjamin Dale. Or fiction is by Benjamin Dale, I apologize. So this is a role-playing game, Back Swords and Bucklers, which the main rule book is here. I'll talk about that in a future video. It's Elizabethan role-playing in the time in London. It's tavern trawling, and everything is low to no magic and dark and gritty, and I love it. I think it's awesome. But the part that is important to us is the tavern name generator. So we're going to roll on that one right now to come up with the name of a tavern. And if I don't like the name we roll up, then I'll roll up another one, because that's part of the fun. I mean, I don't have to stick with what I rolled the first time, but I probably will. Okay, so first we're going to roll a 10-sided die. So let's get out ye old dice set. I got this given a very nice, I bought a nice dice set, and I was given a very nice little box as a gift. So thank you again to family for that. But I'll not get into that. Right now, I just need the D20. So we're going to roll it right now. Oh, actually, no, this is a D10. I am sorry. There's that. And then let's get the D10, not the D percentile. Okay, rolling. Bam! And it went on the floor. Okay. Now, instead of grabbing that, because I want to keep the video going, I'm going to get out the D100 die. Okay. I saw that as a 2. So 2 tells me that this is going to be the Noun and Noun Tavern. All right, excellent. So now it's a D20 roll. So our first noun is 9. And that is duck. Duck and anchor. Hey, cat. I don't like duck and anchor. That sounds a bit too Elizabethan. It doesn't sound like something that a bunch of Bretons in Wales would name their tavern. So let's try that again. All right. We're still going to go with noun and noun. So that's 4. That is the beggar. And cock, as in rooster. I'm going to have to... Yeah, I don't want to... No. All right, we're going to start again. We're going to start from scratch. Okay, that's a 9. So that's going to be the color noun. Okay, so first we're going to roll for color, and that's going to be a D10. And that's going to be a 2, which is blue. 17. Ship. Okay, I can use that. Because this area is a coastal town, and it's very possible that there's local fishing. In fact, the village itself might actually sport a fisherman or 3 by the time we're done with it. So the Blue Ship Tavern makes sense. And despite the fact that this is, Arthurian England, yes, they did have ships, and that's perfect because the sign for the tavern would simply be a wooden sign that showed a ship, and it was painted blue. So the Blue Ship, he frequents. Okay, frequents. The Blue Ship Tavern. All right, and then we're also going to write down that he Oh, hello. Hi. Apparently, this is now a cat video. All right, we're also writing down the fact that he was kicked out of Jorvich. For a failed affair and he is Baron Hawkhearth saved his life, and he has now sworn to the Baron's sworn himself to the Baron's service. Sworn himself to the Baron's service. Okay, so and that would explain why, even though the local populace are very nervous and not happy and don't like having a Viking around all the time, the Baron and the other nobles probably they're a bit more neutral about it because the Baron knows that, or the Baron believes at least, that he can trust, or she can trust, Hrothgar. Now, we haven't rolled up the Baron or any of the other nobles in the area yet. We'll get to that in a future video, and maybe we'll find out why or why not, because that could be fun. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I think we're going to end it right here. The next video, I'll start making some more NPCs, and because I want to get the Tavern Keeper and the Tavern Keeper's family. I do also want to cover up, who's the blacksmith, and who's the local priest, because there's going to be a church. There almost always is a church of some kind, right? And we want to know who the local priest is, and there's a few other people that we talked about that are going to be notable places, including that tailor. Who's that tailor? But we'll get to all those characters in a future book or future video. I will probably use the knave traits that I showed you earlier in order to get a bunch of descriptions, and then decide after I do that which NPC will fit with this set of descriptions. Or which job, I should say, will fit with that. But we'll keep making them using the Prince Valiant storytelling game, because that's what this is designed for. But if you want to take some stuff from this and you want to borrow some of these NPCs for your home game, I see no problem with you translating them to the setting or home game system of your choice. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you enjoyed this video and this journey with me, at least somewhat, and perhaps it would provided a little entertainment. Excuse me. Peace be with you. If you enjoyed this content, I would appreciate a like. If you want to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and maybe comment down below. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, and the show will evolve. I hope you all have a wonderful day once more, and peace be with you. Bye-bye.